Hello everyone, you're welcome to my YouTube channel where I'll be learning how to make this particular design which was requested for by one of our subscribers, and I replicated it and added a little twist to it. It's a satin Zara cap, or let me say it is an Awolowo cap or Ebuka's cap with net embellishment and Ruffles Design. If you are just clicking in for the first time, thank you for viewing. Please do well to subscribe to our YouTube channel before leaving. Now, the materials used include satin fabric, of which 1 yard will be okay. We needed the Mako or carry board, your foam, net, the mesh net or knit, your ribbon or bias tape, your scissors, your gum, shoemaker's gum, as well as your UHU gum, and then we have your matching color of thread and needle, and then other appliques for embellishment. This design which we are working on comes in form of a Zara cap, but it's actually the Awolowo's cap or Ebuka cap, worn mostly by men. Now it has this net design which goes round it, the net fabric, and then the Ruffles design by the side. This cap has the inner part and the outer part. The outer part, which you see, covered with the fabric and the net, while the inner part, it has there's this is made up of a board to give it that cap, stiff cap look, and then it has two sides. It has the top and it has the band that goes round the head. Now the inner parts for this particular tutorial, I was running out of Mako, so I combined both the Mako, which can be gotten from those who make bag and shoes, as well as the carry board. I use the Mako for the side and I use the carry board for the top. You can use only the Mako for both the top and the side, or the carry board for both the top and the side. Okay, so that is what makes up this design. Now, starting here, I have my Mako and the width is 2.5 inches while the length is 21 inches. To be covering the Mako with the fabric and the net, and this will be going round the head, that is more like the band or the side. Now my head circumference is 23 inches and I removed 2 inches from it to give me 21 inches. Reason being that I did not want it to sit round my head completely. I wanted it to tilt to one side, that is to, like, when it's worn, it should sit on one side of my head and it should sit well. And then there's also something you can do at the end of your work. You can also decide to add elastic to it, so that in case of any occasion that requires much body movement like dancing and all that, it doesn't fall off. And then for the fabric, the measurement I'm using is 5 inches for the width by 24 inches for the length. That is for the fabric, satin fabric. And then for the net also, I'm using 5 inches for the width by 24 inches for the fabric, and this net comes in varying colors. Now for the carry board, this is the part where I use the carry board. I use the carry board for the top part of the cap, and I just cut out 9 inches by 9 inches. In addition to the carry board, I also had my foam, and for the foam I'm making use of the 1 inch size of foam. So after setting the carry board in place, then we'll now come to work on the foam. We'll get to that part as we progress. So I also have a small piece of fabric which I'll be using to cover the carry board and the foam for the top. Now I have my Mako here. Remember I said it is 21 inches, so I'll just get both ends together like you see me doing. Place one on each other, and then with my needle and thread I'll be tacking that end together so as to form a full circle to give me that cap shape. Now you can try to skip this tacking part and make use of your gum. Well, that is okay, you can as well do that. I just wanted to tack. If you had watched my previous tutorial, my previous video on my channel where I made a Zara cap using this same net design, this same net fabric, I made use of carry board for the band or the side, and then I used gum to cover up that edge so as to form that circle. So please check my YouTube channel for that video. As soon as that is done, so this is how it looks like. And then now I'll get my net fabric. This fabric can be gotten from those who sell millinery materials, and I have it down with the wrong side facing me and the fine side facing my working table. I have my satin fabric. Now I place the fine side of my satin fabric on the wrong side of my net, fine side on wrong side, and that is what I have. Now I took it down to my sewing machine and I had both edges sewn down, so I just sewed it down from one end of the fabric to the other end to give me that. So I have my satin fabric and net fabric joined together. Now I have my marco, which is for the band or the side of the cap. I also have my shoemaker's gum, top bond gum, and then I'm going to be applying gum in the inner parts of the marco, and I will spread it around the cap, around the marco, and after that I will allow air to pass through it a bit so that it gets a little bit dried, and then I'll place my fabric and then we'll continue. So as soon as I'm done spreading it inside the marco completely, this is how it looks like, and then I'll set it aside. I'll also get my gum again, and this time around I'm going to be applying my gum at that edge that we had sewn. Okay, that part of that marco that we joined together to give that round shape that we had sewn down. So this is me spreading my gum on that part. Please, when working with gum, try as much as possible to be careful so as to minimize gum stains. Allow air to pass through it so I can get a little bit dried, and then your fabric can stick properly. Now I've started I started adding my fabric on the marco, so I'm starting from that edge that I just finished applying gum, where we just joined together to form the round shape, and then I started folding in one edge of my fabric into the inner part of the marco. Okay, as you're adjusting your fabric, you fold it in. As you fold in, you pull your fabric so that you don't have creases, that is, you don't have fabric joined together or squeezed together. It will not make your work look nice. You want everything to be smooth and fine. So as soon as I'm done with this, I'll get back for us to continue. At this point, I've almost gotten to the edge and I have a little bit of allowance left, so I'll get my gum again, apply it at that edge, spread it round, allow air to pass through it a bit, and then use the excess fabric to cover it up. At this junction, I'm done with the edge and the inner part, all set and ready. See the way it is giving, absolutely neat and beautiful. Now coming to the top of the cap, I'll place my marco on my carry board, set it in place properly, and then use my pen to mark out that round shape from the marco. Okay, and I have that, so I'll just get my scissors and I will trim out that round shape and then get back. So I'm done with that, and this is the round shape for the top. So I'll get my gum, apply gum on the surface of the carry board, and as soon as I'm done with that, I'll place it on my foam and then also apply gum and cut off the foam. So this is my carry board with my gum on it, and then I'll get my foam, 1 inch size of foam. I'll just place the carry board with the gum part on my foam and then gum it down together so as to join it together. After that, I'll get my scissors and then trim the shape round, leaving just a little bit of allowance at the edge. So this is it. I'm almost done, and this is what I have. The next thing we're going to do is that we're going to be applying gum on the foam. Okay, just the same we apply for the carry board, and thereafter we'll get our fabric to cover up the foam and the carry board. Okay, so I have my foam with my gum on it, well spread out, and then I have my just cut out a small piece of fabric. You can go ahead to cut out 9 inches by 9 inches or 10 inches by 10 inches on your fabric, and then place your fabric, the wrong side of your fabric, on your foam, and then you allow it to get gummed together properly. Adjust it to avoid creases or rough edges on it. Now I have the top and the side together, as you can see, and we'll have to join both together. Now when when it comes to joining both together to form the cap, I will start with my marker for the side. I'll go ahead to apply gum on one side of the marker. That is, I'm applying gum in the inner part of the marker, but on one side. So this is me doing that. As soon as all that has been done, I have my marker with gum on one edge, and then I will get my, that is my carry board and my foam for the top. At this point, I didn't even remember that I've not trimmed it off together. That is, I've not trimmed off my fabric together round shape. I just went ahead to start applying gum at the edge of the fabric. Okay, the edge of the fabric, not on the foam, oh, just at the edge of the fabric, round the fabric. So I'm done applying my gum when I actually remembered that I've not trimmed the edges. So I just said, let me do that quickly. And then you see me using my scissors at the same time while trying to avoid gum stains. Voila, we have the marker and the top of the cap here. You see me, you have, first of all, you have to allow air pass through your gum so it gets dried a bit. And then you see me placing in the fabric with the carry board inside the marker. And then as soon as it's inside, I'll go ahead to adjust it gradually. I'll push it in. This is how it looks at first, and then I'll push it in, set it in place, and as soon as it's ready, you see how it looks like. So adjust until you get what you want and how you want it to be. You can do a better job than I did here, and please don't be in a hurry so that you don't make mistakes. Now coming to the inner part of the cap, I have my fabric here, so I'll just get the cap itself, place on my fabric, trace it out, and then cut out the shape that I get from the cap, and that's what we're going to be using for the inner part of the cap. And so after tracing and cutting out, you can see I left a little bit of allowance around that marked line. I'm going to apply gum on my fabric. I was supposed to apply gum at the edge only, but I got carried away and applied gum on the wrong side of the fabric. That's still okay. As soon as all that is ready and dried, we just go ahead to place it gradually inside the cap. So I'll just glue this down around the edges and on the carry board. As soon as that is done, that's the inner part and that's the outer part. Now moving on to the Ruffles design, I have two pieces of fabric here. The length is 72 inches while the width is 4.5 inches. Join both pieces of fabric together by placing fine side facing fine side and sewing down at that edge. That is that 4.5 inches edge. And then after that, you have a very long piece of fabric of about 144 inches. Fold into two, sew down from one edge to the other end, and while folding into two, the fine side should be inside and the wrong side should be outside. I've done that, and now we're turning the fabric inside out. So I'll just get my safety pin, place it that way, and start passing it inside. So gradually, this is how to go about turning your fabric inside out after sewing. So I'll pull until it comes out from the other edge. So this is it. I've turned my fabric inside out and I have it this way. Now I'll be getting a third piece of fabric, and the measurement is 3.5 inches. While for the length, I have about 38 inches. So 38 or 40 inches is okay for the length by 3.5 inches. I went ahead to fold it into two, and I added my safety pin to one edge. So I'm going to get my already sewn fabric, and we're going to be passing this inside my fabric so as to create that ruffle like design that is added to the cap. So this is me pulling my fabric. I'll pull until I get to the edge. On getting to the edge, I'll remove my safety pin, take this down to my sewing machine, fold in that rough edges and stitch it down together with the fabric in it so as to secure that edge. Now that part has been secured, I'll pull my fabric, pull it properly, and then when it gets to the other edge, I'm just trying to adjust it to get the ruffles. On getting to the other edge, I will still fold in the rough edges, take it down to my sewing machine and stitch it down again so as to secure the second edge. Here I have my fabric, both edges have been secured, and you can see my ruffle has come in place. Now we'll go ahead to create the design the way it is in the picture, and then we'll just have to fold this ruffle like fabric round, in a round shape or in a circular shape, just as you see me doing. So just fold it, arrange it in a circle shape, and you have it like this. Then you go ahead to make so any adjustments that you feel like is necessary, and then you get your needle and thread and then tack this down together. You can as well get your gum and glue it together. So this is me still tacking and almost done, and here we are at the end of the day. This is how it looks like. So I'm going to get my ruffled fabric as well as my cap, and then that part where I joined my fabric and my marco together, it's at that point I'll be placing my ruffled fabric. So to make it easier for you, you can make use of your gum to join together, but then this is specifically why I made use of the marco, so as to make my tacking easier. I made use of my needle and thread to tack it together. Yes, in my previous video that I talked about earlier, I made use of carry board for the side. That was when I discovered that I could also tack through the carry board. But then this particular one, I wanted to make use of marco for the side. So I'll go back to tack, and as soon as I'm done, we'll get back to complete the inner part of the cap. And then after tacking, this is what we'll get. For the inner part of the cap, we have to add either bias or ribbon or trimming to the rough edge of the lining fabric of the satin fabric. Now I was only able to get this gold color of bias tape, that small size, so I'll go ahead to apply gum, and after applying gum, I'm making it of UAG gum for it, I can go ahead to glue it round and round and round, even if I have to do that 2 times. That is 2 steps of bias tape, so that it can cover that rough edge properly. So that is it, and as soon as you are done with that, you have your cap ready. Now remember I said you can add the elastic to it so that it sits or fits in properly. That's also nice. And then placing it on my dummy head, I have this beautiful and gorgeous look, and it's so neat. I really love the outlook. Thank you so much for watching. This brings us to the end of today's tutorial. Please like, share, and let me see your comments in the comment section. I just hope you got value from this tutorial. Don't forget to follow us on our social media platforms, on Facebook and also on Instagram as JenieConcept. Until our next tutorial, bye bye.